That's so much better.
It really is.
Little new intro music. I'm going to use that in the mix. I don't care.
I like that.
If they tell us to stop, we'll stop. Bunch of sissies.
They're not going to say anything.
Hi, Thomas.
Michael.
Power and Speed back again. Hi, Tad. What
Yo.
are you doing over there exactly?
I'm cruising Facebook.
Oh, that's what you should be doing while we're trying to get started here.
Yeah, why not?
Very nice, Tad.
Well, telling people, we're supposed to be telling people, like us on Facebook, but,
Well, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
well, I just said it.
Okay.
Wow.
So who do we got today?
Well, we got us. You know what? Can I go through my shit first?
Sure. Go ahead.
908-751-0211. Crunch isn't here yet. He's late. He's listening right now. So let's somebody call in and bust his stones for being late. And like us on Facebook, right, Ted?
Yes.
Got to, man.
The other thing that I brought up last week, there's a section if you're an iTunes user that you can leave like a review, a like, whatever. That actually does help.
Okay.
Because what happens is apparently they use the popularity, and if you look, we now have a popularity score, which is pretty good. I mean, that's really helpful. The popularity score decides where you're placed. Like if somebody opens iTunes or goes searching for something, it determines like where you are in a search list. So
depending on the criteria.
Yeah, and the Apple is very secretive about how they do stuff, but after enough people have done it long enough, they kind of figure it out. So yeah, that matters. So if you're an Apple user, go in there and hit like or write a review or whatever seems to work.
Anything.
So
today we have today I guess is going to be Subaru Day.
Is it?
I think. I mean, it should be. I think we owe it. I mean, Tad is a Subaru fanboy, and he's he's got a man crush on Junior. So we'll talk about him. And we got JJ, the owner of IAG Performance in Westminster, Maryland. He's going to be calling in. He is a customer and a friend, and he's got a really impressive joint out there.
Yeah. Now, we started talking about some of this because you went to Subi Fest, and I didn't know that these things had gotten involved as they did. I guess a natural progression. They try to make things better and better.
Yep.
You mentioned it before that it's a rather large part of Manly's business.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, and so he's basically doing his own closed deck block. I mean, he's got a pretty serious offering.
He does a lot of stuff. He got into the CNC business. Actually, his place is really cool. They do engines, they do installs, they do tuning, they do swaps. He's got a full-fledged body shop. They'll paint your car. When Tad wrecks it, they'll fix it. He does everything. It's really a cool deal. Upstairs, they do design. They got rapid prototyping. They got 2 SLA machines, 3D printers.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't be saying all this cool shit.
Yeah, you might want to wait for him to come on and actually talk about it. Yeah. Shit.
But really cool place. Really, it's kind of they're on the front line of making parts, and it's pretty neat.
Now, what is the potential of these things? Like, how much power?
There's 3 of them running around out there now that apparently have not blown up. That are making over 1,000 wheel horsepower.
Really?
At a 2.5 liters of opposed Subaru engine.
Now, what's your deal, Tad? Don't you have, because I said something to him the other day, and this retard says to me, oh, well, I don't use that motor. I use a 2.0. Like he had something special. I don't quite understand what that was even coming from.
Oh, mine's the JDM. It's
stupid.
Yeah, it's a whole another rigmarole.
Well, but what I'm asking you a serious question. Like, why do you use that particular motor? I mean, was there a benefit to that? I know zero about Subarus, dude. Zero, except the pistons go side to side.
At the time, when my transmission blew up and I needed a transmission, I found a deal on eBay with a 2-liter motor and a 6-speed trans, and the 6-speed's what I wanted because they were supposed to be $7,000 at that time. I got it. Trans comes in. I start pricing out axles and stuff. It's like, holy crap, it's going to be like $800 just in axles and drive shaft and crap like that. So I went to Rally Spec, talked to him. He said, I'll trade you. You give me your motor and your blown up trannies, I'll do the install for free. And when I brought the motor up there, he's like, why didn't you want to do, what was your questions on this motor? I was like, oh, it's only a 2-liter. Why would I use it? And he said, because it's an RA Spec C. He goes, this is the motor. So I was like, put it in, I had to pay for a new ECU because mine wouldn't work the AVCS variable valve timing.
Yep. We're losing listeners by the minute right now.
So anyway, I got it. I put like 500 miles of brake in on it because, I know you really don't need to break things in, but.
Okay, let me just cut this short. So what was basically the purpose for the 2-liter motor? Just stronger?
No.
It's got a semi-closed deck on a 2-liter.
It's all nonsense.
It is all nonsense.
Here's why people like 2 liters.
It's got forged pistons.
They do have forged pistons, but they think that because they can RPM them more, for some reason, they're going to be faster.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of where I was going with that. Didn't you tell me that's why I like RPM?
Yeah, I do.
9,000, 10,000.
I'm an RPM
12,000.
guy. I had an S2000. I love that thing because you wind it out.
14,000.
If I could get that thing to $14,000,
I shift my 2.5 Forester at 11.7.
Really?
No.
And why'd they blow up?
Where do they normally run?
I go to 8,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah, but factory, they're limited in the 2.5s to what, 75 or?
Well, the Redline tops out.
Still 75, Tad. You're like, I want to turn the motor. It makes it sound like the thing's going to turn 4,500 and fall on its face like an 85 Corvette.
Well, you've driven his thing, haven't you?
Well, I attempted to.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 liters are people, they get all crazy about them, and then they buy them, and they realize they got no torque, and they drive like crap.
I couldn't even get the thing to move.
I know.
It took me like 3 shots to get out of the parking lot with that stupid clutch.
Well, that's the clutch I had. I had one of the damn XD junk carbon, hypercarbon clutches.
I hope that
he went out and bought a bicycle after driving that thing.
And then we went into like 7-Eleven or something and turned a corner. It's like the whole fucking thing hopped.
Yeah,
that was a mistake. The Cusco rear differential.
You're just a sequence of mistakes.
Yeah, it's a pile of mistakes. Everything's a mistake.
It's a Detroit locker and an import. It just don't work.
Well, was it in the center? Was the center locked?
No, it's the rear. That's it. They lock up and that's it. Might as well have a spool.
That was the definition of kid's car right there. I mean, what I want, and the interesting thing to talk to a guy like this, is I want it to be just like the car it was, just like the car rolled out of the factory, but insanely fast. That's exactly what I want. I would prefer, and that's why I always asked you, Tom, how your thing was to drive. How were its mannerisms? How is it in cold start? Did it have stumbles? Does it get finicky?
And it's all pretty normal.
I
mean, mine's not insanely fast. It's not a 9-second car.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, as you get closer to the edge, it gets worse. So you got to, to me, the definition of you've got 3 categories, I think. You got kid's car, you got street car, and you've got, like a refined adult car.
Right.
A street car is something that you drive from point A to point B, and it's nice if it's a little zippy, and that's fine. A kid's car is like what Tad built.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Like super loud exhaust, 488 gear with, a turbo 350.
Yeah. Right.
Glass packs, just the fucking jerk off that pass you on the road and you just shake your head. And then,
wow.
Yeah.
You just killed him.
I know.
It ain't my car, but anyway.
But, like the refined car, like something, and not necessarily a Corvette, a Subaru, something like, that could go well into the 10s or better. And driving around, you could drive it to the grocery store if you wanted to.
Well, I could tell you, I would never call mine refined because it rattles and it drives a little bit on the hard side.
You got STI struts in it and stuff? Or?
Yeah. So I wouldn't call it refined, but it does everything well. It starts every day. It'll go in the bottom 11s.
But you see, like all that stuff you did to make it. First off, your thing's what, a Forester, right?
Yeah.
So doesn't that kind of look like a high, big sort of semi, I don't want to say off-road vehicle, but I mean.
A little bit.
Like a Durango.
Yeah, they're lifted.
Yeah. So, to lower the thing is kind of to stop it from looking dorky.
Well, yeah, but.
No offense.
Yeah. But all you do is put the STI stuff on it, and it's all the same. The platform is the same.
Okay.
For the car and the truck.
Okay.
So that was pretty simple. No, it's just. I think it's because it's got a lot of miles on it and it's beat up a little bit and, creaks and rattles.
Look,
it's not refined.
I pick on the Subaru stuff all the time to make fun of you. And I got the sound clip of Jeremy Clarkson saying, here comes a moron because he hears a flat 4.
Yep.
But they're neat vehicles. They are neat.
Yeah.
And even Tad's, as stupid as it was, and I'm sure that at some point when he gets off his ass, he has it parked in some, parking lot at a condo complex and he drives by and visits it or some shit. But when he gets it done, I'm sure it'll be okay.
Yeah,
I'm
that
sure
thing
it'll be
spent
right.
a lot of time in Forked River too. So,
Did it?
oh yeah,
I don't know what that means.
the sand back in the Pine Barrens.
Got it. Well, I'll tell you, as far as, mine isn't refined, but you can make them to the point where they can start and drive and be pretty docile and still fly. And I think we talked about it before. There are 3 of them now, actually 4, that are trying to dip into the 8s as kind of a streetable type car. And there's a bunch of them that are close, 9-teens, 920s.
Really?
At
Yeah.
low 150 miles an hour.
If I could get there and have it be nice, like that's what I was trying to talk to Howard about. I want, if I was going to do work to one of my Corvettes, which is also, and Tom knows this, and Tad sort of knows it, and I think I said a little bit to Crunch, that's the direction I've decided to go for a toy.
Good move.
It's got to be as nice as a regular car.
Yep.
It's got to drive like a regular car. It's got to do everything within reason. It just got to have that feel. There's nothing that beats like the power curve and the drivability of a good stock vehicle.
Yep.
So if you could just take that and turn the volume from 3 to like 8, that would be perfect.
Well, honestly, that's what Howard did to Hank's car. Thing went from mid 400s to 800 wheel horsepower. And Hank tells me all the time, every time I talk to him, it's like driving a regular car.
Well, at this point, I know Crunch is actually here because he just said the back door is locked, so I had to pop it open for him from here. I did decide to go ahead with the 2001 Corvette. I think that's what I'm going to start messing with.
Yeah, it's a good move.
And I've got it. I own it. You're never going to get a boatload of money for it.
No.
You're never going to sell it. Trade-in value would take sales tax and the value off for another car.
It's yellow.
It's yellow. It's already yellow.
Yep.
Already, have a guy to do mini tubs and all little stuff, and I got to figure out the running gear. And it's going to be a twin turbo LSX.
Should be good.
Yeah, it should be good.
Build something moderately big. You're going to stay all aluminum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, I'm not going to put an iron block in that thing. I don't even know how it would be if you put an iron block.
Terrible.
In
It kills the balance. And wow, Crunch is here.
Crunch just walked in. What's up, man?
What's going on?
Traffic or just a bad day?
Traffic. 78.
Oh, there was traffic on 78, really?
Oh, yeah.
You should try taking 79.
Whatever it takes.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man.
So what were your plans? I was listening. What are we about to do?
I've got
Mike's buying a Subaru.
no, hasn't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, no.
I've been thinking about what to do for a car and what to do to make a toy, and I don't have a toy. Haven't had a toy in a long time.
So no Malibu?
Nope. I own.
Oh, he's got that crushed look on his face.
I own that Corvette. It's sitting there. It doesn't owe me anything. It's in good shape. The body's in good shape. I think that's it. And look, after
Mike, we're car guys. We already talked about this.
I know, but
That Corvette's a car.
I think it is.
That's a kit
But you
car
have
from the
you
factory.
have a yellow one sitting next to a yellow one.
Mm-hmm.
You already have a Vet.
I know, but I think that like from a perspective and from a technology side, I think that's what I want to do.
Good thing you weren't a lawyer. 'Cause that was a terrible argument.
I'm just saying. When Tom is riding around in the Camaro
Yeah.
with the SB2 killer,
Uh-huh.
riding on the street, making noise.
Mhm.
I'm over there with the 68 making noise.
Mhm.
You got the Vet.
Mhm.
You need the Malibu. I'm just saying. Think it over.
I like Corvettes. And then when we get to the end of the road and we have to turn, I'll just wave you guys later. So see when you hit the next exit. Because there is really something to be said about driving like a jackass on the street.
No doubt.
So
So what do you got, Crunch? Anything? How was your weekend?
I did some car show stuff, but the tractor trailer tried to take
Oh,
me out.
yeah,
with
that's
my-
right. I forgot
It
about
messed
that.
up my dually, so now I have to go shopping for a new one.
what are you driving?
I have it. It's outside.
What is it? Oh, your dually you
The
have.
dually, yeah.
Oh, so it's actually drivable.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
so we
he
can go- we
he
can go
definitely
look at it.
tore it all up. You'll see when we end the show.
Yeah.
He messed it all up, but I told him if once they let it go, they were asking me if I needed a record. I thought I did. Wait, look, when they let the tractor trailer back up off me after he dragged me a few feet, I said I'm driving that home.
Well, looking at the pictures, it looked like it was like kind of wrecked. Like the whole thing, like the frame might have been twisted.
Yeah, it was like a tire was off a rim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I pumped the tire back up.
Oh, so the tire was off the rim.
Yeah.
Damn.
I pumped the tire up and hit the road. Came home.
Crazy.
I love that truck, bro. I'm Chevy man.
I know.
Chevy man. So
All right.
all you Ford folks, they circled the problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got Tom. You want to introduce him?
Yes, JJ from IAG Performance in Maryland. Yeah, are you with us, man?
I am. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I can't complain.
Good. We were just, I don't know if how long you were listening, but I was just telling these guys how impressive your place is and what you've been doing. And Mike here he's curious how drivable all the low 9-second Subarus are. And I don't even know if you know the answer to that.
I do. I've actually driven both of the cars that have gone that we sponsor that have our long blocks in them on the street. Neither for an extended period of time, but one is a little more drivable than the other. But to be perfectly honest with you, they can be very drivable. Not much different than a drivable 9-second, Corvette or Camaro or Mustang.
That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah, I mean, like the mannerisms. This is Mike. The mannerisms, like how something like that is. That's to me like kind of what refines a street car. And I mean, look, make no mistake about it. I'm not knocking anybody that's gotten something to go that fast on the street because that's a hell of an accomplishment, especially from by comparison standards, a very small motor.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of impressive.
I mean, it's much like anything else. Everything in this industry, and I know you guys know this, is a give and take. The kind of the wilder you go and the more exotic you get with some of the modifications, the less drivable the car is going to be. To be perfectly honest with you, in the cases of these cars, it really comes down to tire choice. If you stay with a radial, it's still going to drive reasonably well, still handle reasonably well, still turn reasonably well. The 9-second 913 2015 STI that we sponsor actually is still on radial, still has AC, still has power steering, still has a full interior. Frankly, really, the way the car looks and the way that it behaves isn't really much different than a stock car.
So that's a real street car. I mean, with all that equipment. Yeah.
That is a true street car.
Yeah, see, that's and
radio. In fact, there haven't been any of the comfort features haven't been removed from the car at all.
Right. And you see, to me, that's what I was talking about when I was talking about like a real nice street car.
Yeah.
Refined. Like if you have a Subaru that has the nice radio and the Bluetooth and all the other crap, everything's there.
Yep.
And it's just, it's what I said before. You increase, you like the car. So you just took everything where it is and turned it way up. That's the idea to me.
Yep.
Now, how much in these particular Subarus? Because I don't really know a whole lot about them. I mean, I've been waiting for Tom to bring his up here, and now he's got it back, and he's busy driving his Durango around. How much platform change do you have to do, like in driveline and everything? Maybe not for 9-second cars, but how much attention do they need to be reliable?
Well, one of the important things is that if you're starting with an STI, which is Subaru's performance version of the car, you're getting a stronger gearbox and rear end right off the bat. And those are two important things because the 5-speed gearbox that comes in the standard WRX is not going to hold up to that kind of power, no matter what you do to it. You can buy gear sets, you can buy aftermarket components that are intended to stiffen the case. You can do all these other things, but at the end of the day, the factory 6-speed gearbox that's available in the STI is very strong and very stout. That's not to say you can't break it. You can break it, but the stock gearbox is still being used in a number of 9-second and even a couple of high 8-second Subarus. And naturally, some of these cars that are still using the stock gearbox have also been lightened up, and the weight of the car obviously has a big factor in how long the gearbox is going to hold up.
Hey, so let's take a step back because we got right into talking about cars, but Mike was curious about a lot of things that you do. I've been telling him that you have this beautiful shop with CNC equipment and closed deck stuff and all the products that you make. So take a minute and let us know where you started and how you got to be as diverse as you are.
That's a good question. my background from the late 80s and early 90s, I was originally in the mobile electronics field, doing car alarms and car stereos and that kind of thing. Out of high school and really just doing things for friends of mine that I attended school with. That industry changed pretty quickly in the mid 90s when some of the big box stores started coming out. Circuit City and Best Buy, and at that point, you really kind of had a choice. You either went to go work for a box store, or you went to go work in the performance industry or started doing performance work. And I obviously chose the latter. And I went to work for a company that was doing German performance, and I worked for them from basically the mid 90s up until the mid 2000s. And while I did enjoy the performance game, I kind of wanted something a little different. And much like any of us being a car guy, I wanted to kind of drive and experience a lot of different cars. So I decided what better way than to start selling cars. So I went and got a dealer's license, and I started buying and selling cars. And, if I wanted a, C5 Vet, I'd go out and buy one at the auction and drive it for a couple of weeks and decide that I liked it or didn't like it, or what I liked or didn't like about it, and then I'd sell it. And that's kind of was my transition out of the performance into basically car sales. And then I realized, at some point that I kind of was missing the thrill of doing the performance work on the cars. And I'd hired a guy who was a big Subaru nut, and basically talked me into buying and selling Subarus because they really kind of sell themselves. They're very utilitarian. They fit the bill for a lot of people because they're four-door. They are all-wheel drive, so they do well in the wintertime. They're pretty decent performance-wise. You get a lot of bang for your buck.
True.
And so we started buying and selling Subarus, and with that started coming customers who wanted to, enhance them and do aftermarket stuff. And so we started doing that about 2007.
Wow.
Since 2007, a lot of the things that drive this industry are being able to kind of control quality and being able to control lead times. Those are the two things that if you don't do stuff in-house, you just can't control it. And those are the things that tend to kind of limit you or limit your growth in the industry. And that's kind of how we started manufacturing parts. Is we started basically having to do things on our own and in-house, so that we could get things done in the time that we wanted to get them done, and make sure that they were up to quality or up to par for what we wanted. And that's kind of how we started basically manufacturing, buying CNC equipment, buying 3D printers, hiring an engineer, eventually a second engineer, and now we actually do all of our own automotive machining in-house as well.
So part of this was necessity, quality control. You wanted things done right, and I can completely understand that. Boy, can I understand that. Jeez.
Yep. And also lead times. It used to be that, the industry standard was you would send something to a machine shop, and then you'd wait 3-4 months until the machine shop got around it and, got around to working on it. And then once they worked on it, you'd obviously get your motor back and you'd be able to start then kind of building it. For us as a shop, it's not really reasonable when we have, for argument's sake, 40 or 50 cars here waiting for engines, to wait for a machine shop for 3 or 4 months to hone a block, which is a really simple process that really should take no longer than about 2 or 3 hours.
Right. See, the problem with all that stuff is with the automotive machining, you have to really be able to justify the expenditure. You know what I mean? If you're doing enough work and that hone is holding up an expensive, let's say overall build, sure, it's important. You gotta, I understand it. But I mean, a lot of people, I would much rather have had everything done in-house personally when I did this. But, you end up relying on good people, but I can understand from the quality perspective why you would go that route. Anybody that's detail and I want to say perfection orientated would understand that.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah,
so
it also helps that we work on one brand car, and effectively only a couple of iterations of the block itself. And some of these, like anything, there are idiosyncrasies with certain blocks or certain engines that that you learn, and and certain tooling that you may make or machining process that you may choose to do that makes sense for you to do it in house. When you're subbing it out to a machine shop, they're going to just get the job done. They're not necessarily going to kind of be paying attention to some of those details.
Yeah, and especially if it's a job like you said, like a very custom specific process to handle a very specific problem. Yeah, I get that too. No, it makes a lot of sense. Is that how you got into the closed deck block deal? Because you knew that there was a need to do this a particular way?
Yes, yeah. So we're not the first in the closed deck block game. There are companies that have been doing it for years and have had really, really good success with it. We, much like anything else we do, if we feel if we can't do it better, we won't do it. And the current offerings are very good options and very good offerings, and they've had good success with it. We have kind of, gone down a little bit different path, a little bit different method in how we close deck, using different materials, different machining processes, all of these things that we believe make it a better product.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he really thought it out when he did it. He was explaining it to me a couple of weeks ago, and there's a lot of thought in it.
And on the Subaru stuff, that becomes a necessity when you're going to make the big power. Like it's one of those things that has to be done.
Big boost, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you really have kind of two options. Well, really essentially two options when you want to really make the power in the Subarus. You either go to a closed deck block, whether it's one that comes from the factory that way, which was offered back in the 90s, but a small displacement engine, or you close deck it like we do, or the third option is doing a ductile iron sleeve, much like what you would do in a domestic application. Actually machining out the existing sleeves and dropping in a more rigid iron sleeve.
Now, when you do that sleeving process in a Subaru, that still has to be either a closed or a semi-closed deck for support. I mean, can you actually drop a sleeve in and not have it really supported? See, I understand how these motors work. I get it, but I'm just, you look at the things, and I always tend to look at things and see the weak points, which it sounds like what you kind of have to do with these things. So when you sleeve them, do you end up putting it in a solid deck block too?
That's something that we're actually working on. We haven't done it yet, and the reason is because the current offerings of sleeves right now completely eliminates not only the existing stock sleeve, but doesn't even leave a flange at the top right now. In order to do the closed deck process, you kind of have to have a flange there to be able to machine for the insert to be able to set a shelf essentially for the insert to set against.
Right.
We are working with a sleeve manufacturer right now. We have our machinist actually used to have very close ties to a sleeve manufacturer, and we're working with them on doing a custom sleeve so we will be able to close deck it. But you do bring up a very good point, and that's that when you drop in these aftermarket sleeves, while the sleeve is very strong, it is still kind of sitting there floating, only being held in by a couple of supports, and you still have kind of that open deck. And the thing that these cars are prone for, or problems that a lot of the problems that we see with these cars are blown head gaskets, and that happens because you're not supporting that, the top of that top of the sleeve.
Yeah, so the sleeve moves around.
You really aren't fixing that by installing a iron sleeve. You still kind of have an iron sleeve there that can move around. The closed deck process. One of the reasons why we believe that it's a good, reliable option, especially for even street cars, is that you're not touching the factory sleeve. You're leaving it there, but you're supporting that sleeve so it doesn't move around. You don't tend to have head gasket failures, and you don't have the sleeves crack, in the weak areas that are there normally when it's a semi-open deck.
Yep. So, beyond the closed deck stuff, you also make a lot of, you started out making like oil caps and stuff like that, but then you moved on to your air oil separator, which is also a very impressive piece. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Sure. I mean, it's, much like the closed deck, again, there are other offerings that are out there that have had decent success over the years. The reason that we initially looked at making an air oil separator was because the offerings that were out there, you just couldn't get it. You would call to a supplier that makes, something and say, hey, I need 5 of this part. And they'd say, oh, well, we can't get it, for another 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And, there's that kind of old adage in this industry, it's like a nickel holding up a dollar.
Yep.
We have, for argument's sake, you might have a $10,000 bill that's waiting on a $350 air oil separator, and you can't deliver the car because you can't get the part.
Crazy.
And that's one of the reasons why we decided to make that part. Having the CNC equipment in house, the means to do it, and again, knowing that we could bring something that was better to the table. That's kind of why we decided to take on that project, and we're now on our second version of that part. We've been selling it for about a year and a half now.
I got to interject here. Again, know so little about Subarus. Air oil separator, good idea, necessary? Is there?
Well, there's breathing issues with the motor. Oh, actually, with a lot of stuff that is has any kind of boost, supercharged, turbocharged. So you get oil in the intake tract. Actually, the Subaru recircs it anyway, right? And you just reroute that.
We have two different options. You can either vent it to atmosphere or recirc it back to the engine. But as you kind of alluded to, Tom, the Subarus do tend to have kind of higher crankcase pressure than a lot of other applications, and you have to mitigate that somehow.
Yep.
Especially when you go to a forged piston. Forged piston runs a much looser clearance than a stock cast piston, and because of that, you're going to have higher cylinder pressure. So you have to mitigate that somehow.
Yep.
Gotcha. So they just, it's by nature of this particular, well, not only the Subarus in general, but something under heavy boost. I mean, you're just looking to get the separation into the crankcase blow by. I got it.
Yeah. The purpose of an air oil separator is exactly like the name, which is to separate the oil from the air.
Mm-hmm.
You have the oil and air mixture that's coming out of the crankcase, and it goes into this device, which essentially the objective is to create a swirl path, and you want the heavy oil to hit the outside walls of this can and run. Essentially, the heavy oil sticks to the outside walls and it runs down to the bottom of the can, and then eventually gets drained back into the crankcase.
Right.
And the air rather, passes through a series of baffles and then eventually gets vented out through the top, whether it's back into the inlet or out the atmosphere. But the point is that if you are putting something back into the inlet, it should be oil free, and a lot less oil vapors that are actually going back into the intake that can reduce the octane and basically cause things like detonation and some of the other problems that are associated with that.
Yeah, we went through that with some of the circle track, car stuff, the dry sump things that were, inherently getting beat up because they raced in dust and dirt and horrible environments. So you were always looking for, a good oil separator to try to handle the situation that would occur in the back of the car if the motor started to get a little lump up. So yeah, that's a nice deal. But I never really see, when you do normally aspirated stuff your whole life, you don't think about how heavy the blow by situation could get. You don't.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially how much boost do these things make? A real good one. I mean, what are they up to?
Your average customer that's driving around on the street is about, let's say 22 psi on pump, maybe around 26 or 28 on race gas or on ethanol. Some of these drag applications that these cars that are making 1,000 wheel and plus, we've run as high as about 58 psi.
Wow. Okay.
Well, how much are you used to run on nitrous peaks?
Tad, introduce yourself. This is Tad,
I'm Tad,
he is our resident Subaru fanboy. Just so you know,
fanboy. Okay.
and he's also got a bad man crush on Junior.
Well, Junior's
huge.
the man.
We hear about Junior every single day. Junior did this, and he got a car to go this fast, and that's why I was pretty pleased to tell him. I said, Tad, you might want to talk to who we got on the phone today.
Yeah.
So continue with your question, Thad.
How much boost were we running on nitrous Pete's Mustangs way back?
That was that was a regular blower thing, and I mean,
Yeah.
I think also in the packaging, you're dealing with an iron block short deck V8, probably substantial piston, not a lot of deflection, good size ring. It's probably easier to keep something like that sealed at 25 pounds of boost than I would imagine a Subaru that you're kind of balls out on. It's probably
I'm doing 36 pounds on mine or 32 pounds on mine. So
You also want to keep in mind that your displacement of the engine itself, we're talking a 2.5 liter, and you're dividing all that, all that boost amongst 4 pistons rather than 8.
Mm-hmm.
So the demand on the crankcase system is a lot higher.
Yeah, better ventilated motor overall, probably. Internally. Everything about the situation is better.
Well, JJ.
This is Crunch, JJ. Go ahead, Crunch.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Because I don't know much about the Subaru and actually watching Tom's and seeing how he did his, and it was pretty creative, I'm going to ask you a question that's just off the wall. I don't know how you respond to it, but have you been ever been asked to put a small block Chevy in a Subaru?
Oh Christ!
They're out there.
I'm asking. I mean, that it's an all-wheel drive, so I'm sitting here thinking, how would they make that work?
They're not all-wheel drive anymore.
No. Well, what's your answer?
Well, I've never been asked to put a small block in a conventional all-wheel drive Subaru. No, there are guys that have taken the BRZ or the Scion FRS, which is a rear-wheel drive car, and have done LS swaps. Whether it's LS3 or LS6 or LS7, I've seen a couple of different versions of that.
Oh Jesus, that's looking to get killed. What? That's wow.
See, now I'm getting excited.
But now wait a second. Let's take a step backwards here. That, and I'm not knocking the Subaru guys, because Tom and Tad are both giving me the evil eye here because they can see I'm going somewhere with this. That little car is a little cool looking. It's it's a little sporty looking. It doesn't look like the STI. That's kind of somewhere between a family truckster and it's a neat car.
Right.
It was designed by Toyota. That's why it looks good.
Okay, true. Does that have the stereotypical Subaru motor in it? Is that what it has?
Yeah.
It does have a boxer engine. The series of engine is actually called an FA, which is a whole new version of the flat 4 boxer engine. It uses a little bit smaller displacement. It has a timing chain rather than a timing belt. And the most important and prevalent thing is that they're direct injected now, which Subaru hasn't offered in the past. But it is still a flat 4 engine, yes.
So could you put the good motor transfer into that platform, or are there structural changes?
There are guys that have done that swap as well. There are guys that have put 2Js in the FRSs and the BZs. I mean, it's a pretty popular car to swap, actually, because the original platform, the original engine, is a normally aspirated 200 horsepower 2-liter, and I actually own one for about 3 years, and I've got to be honest, it's very very boring car to drive. I mean, it's just terrible.
But it was a platform for parts. You needed it to test stuff on, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear that people are doing stuff to them still. I thought that thing was going to die on the vine, actually, because I never thought it was that cool looking.
I thought it was kind of neat looking. Like, used to see it, and they said it's like kind of a true sports car and everything. It was just, I don't know.
Better than a Miata.
Yeah, better than a Miata. That just never went anywhere.
True. So what do you got going on next, man? What's your next big thing?
We are getting ready to release our CNC cylinder head porting program, and we are doing some development work on that FA engine. That FA 2-liter engine that originally came normally aspirated in the BRZ is now being used in the 15 and 16 WRXs, and we are working on some closed deck stuff for those, as well as a CNC head program, which should be the first to market if we actually kind of get that wrapped up here soon.
So the 15 WRX has a 2-liter in it?
It has a 2-liter FA engine as well. It is direct injected, but it is turbocharged. It's not the normally aspirated engine that comes in the Scion and in the BRZ.
Got it. So the car that Junior's an STI or WRX?
Junior is an STI. So the STIs are still the 2.5, the E25, which is the super engine that we've seen kind of since the early 2000s.
Right.
2004 or so.
Now, there's a question. When this stuff goes direct injection, how friendly is Subaru from the tuning side? I mean, can you get the tools you need to be able to make the changes you need, or is it cloak and dagger like it is with some of the other manufacturers?
It is very much cloak and dagger. It kind of always has been. But there are companies that specialize in reverse engineering the software or the algorithms and building software to give you tuning options. Cobb tuning is the one that we choose, and that I think most people choose for kind of retuning the factory ECU. They're an outfit out of Texas that basically makes a handheld controller that plugs into your diagnostic port and kind of allows you to either flash predetermined or pre-done maps based on certain modifications, or you can go to a professional tuner and have the car tuned, with that device. And they are already tuning those 15 and 16 WRXs, and there are guys that have had good success with that.
All right, so they've already gotten to do some of the work with the direct injection.
Yes.
Yeah.
How's the automatic transmission in those things?
I've only driven them. We haven't tuned any. It is a CVT.
Right.
which is basically a single gear or single speed.
It's a fucking Polaris.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Right, it's a belt system.
Yep.
Basically, yeah.
All right, so I'll take that as it sucks.
You can keep that.
Yeah, it's a very odd car to drive. You kind of drive it down the street thinking that the clutch is slipping all the time.
Yeah, exactly. My brother, we talked about that the other day because because at the, I guess Tom went to the sand show. I don't know if you went to that too. But the side by side, the little side by sides, they're fun. They're a lot of fun if you got room to use it. My brother has one. It's a Polaris 800, and it has that snowmobile type clutch. And it's if you're a guy that's driven cars and driven cars hard, that just goes against everything in your head. It just doesn't work. I could never drive something like that in the street. Hell no.
More.
Ugh.
I know. So, when's somebody gonna put an 8-second pass down, man?
Well, let's hope soon.
Yeah.
We we have our engines in a few different cars, about 4 different cars right now. That at least 3 of the 4 have dynoed over 1,000 wheel, and the 4th we suspect makes over 1,000 wheel, but we're not 100% sure. And I'm sure one of these guys are going to hit an 8 very shortly. Like anything, it's about just kind of finding the weak link and kind of getting some seat time. With the season kind of coming to a close, we really hope that it happens in the next couple of weeks.
Well, English Town's having the Subaru WRX soon, next month?
Yeah, we'll all go to that.
Yeah, I'd actually like to go to that and see what those things like. What I got to ask, I know that we're gonna get cut this down, but I got to ask one thing on like Tad, and maybe this is something with you that you like these opposed motors and stuff because you were always a Volkswagen guy. These things are completely different for people that don't know. The block and the cylinders are in halves. So like a Volkswagen, the jugs come off. You don't have that. How far can you go? Do we know where the bottom ends are? That this is just not any longer going to work? I mean, was there anything that occurred in the short block side of it because of the inherent problem of trying to push the two halves, for lack of a better term, apart?
That's a great question. We do things to try to combat that, and part of that is either pitting the mains, which is a process that's very similar in the domestic applications. But instead of pinning the caps to the block, you're actually just pinning the two halves together. And we use better hardware, ARP case bolts, to try to kind of keep those mains from blowing out. That being said, the reality is when you're making 1,000 wheel, you're going to open up some of those bearing clearances. There really isn't much you can do short of doing a billet block.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure whether the billet block would really solve that issue, and that's kind of still to be determined.
Yeah, I imagine that's a really hard issue because if you're going to build a billet block, if it's kind of a clamping for, I mean, look, you're going to get to the point where the case deflects, but you still have to physically bolt it together because these are the things that, correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't there like an access plug that you put the wrist pin in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually how the motor's assembled.
Yep.
Yeah,
Correct.
I remember hearing that and I was like, there's what?
Well, it's a really tight envelope too. So I don't even know, I was in the block building, manufacturing business for a while, and I don't even know if you can make a billet block much better just from the physical size that you don't have with this thing.
Right.
There's nowhere to put material. Really.
You can't add bulk to it.
No, you really can't. So, well, I am fresh out of Subaru questions because, Tad educated me pretty well before.
Oh, God. I've actually got a million of them because I just don't know enough about them, but we'll save them for next time because I'll talk to this guy for hours trying to learn about.
I got one more thing, and you guys wouldn't even understand that. But did you sell a dog box or no?
Ooh, what?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I did. Yeah, it's actually was delivered today.
Okay, that's interesting.
Hopefully that actually helps. Helps the cause in that application.
Yeah.
Particular customer's car to go 8s. We'll see.
Yep, I'll explain it to you guys later.
Okay.
Not street friendly.
Shut up.
See, here's the problem. Here's why we pick on Tad a little bit, because I remember when this retard first got a Subaru, he was doing work to it. He's like, oh, you got to go for a ride, He brings this thing down here. He's got, what was that stupid clutch you had in there, Tad?
Like an XRD Hyper carbon clutch that had a 13-pound flywheel. So the thing's like...
The Hyper single?
Yeah. No, it's a triple.
Oh, okay.
And it just, if you don't have RPM, it's boom, it just stops.
I've driven stick shifts all my life. And it doesn't matter if it was, a pickup, a truck, or a
Whatever.
good street car.
You could drive it.
It took me like 4 or 5 shots to get that piece of shit to move. And then we finally got on the highway. And then we went to 7-Eleven and went to turn the corner, like to pull into the parking space. And the thing it hopped like a 4-wheel drive truck in 4-wheel drive on dry pavement with 44-inch tires on it. Hopped all over the parking lot. That was
a mistake. I was trying to get
you seem to be loaded with them, don't you?
I was trying to get a different rear differential, and they were sold out. So I got a Cusco, and it's a Detroit locker. So as soon as you put power on, the rear end locks up.
That's why I had so many questions about how these things would be when you really got into them. What happened with the driveline? How good can they be and still maintain like a nice stock, I'm obviously stock appearing and feeling is a relative term, but I mean, you just like it to be nice enough that you can drive the thing and not get annoyed. That's why I'm anxious to go for a ride in Tom's when he finally brings it up here instead of his small break Dodge.
Next week.
All right.
Been hearing that for a while.
Well, hey, yeah, I know. JJ, plug yourself. Give us a phone number and everything.
So our website is www.iagperformance.com. You can also find us at facebook.com/IAG Performance, or reach us the old way on the phone at 410-840-3555.
Awesome.
All right, man.
Hey, I really appreciate you coming on. Hope it was fun for you. We'll continue to talk about you while you're gone.
But no, thanks. Honestly, you answered kind of a lot of the little questions I had about these things, like where the problem areas are. And I appreciate it. And I hope that the people that are listening to this, pick up a little bit on just how much goes into one of these things when you're going to push them all the way towards the end. Because it's, and the end's apparently not there yet. Hoping for an 8-second pass.
Yeah.
That'd be something.
They're the guys to do it.
All right. Well, thanks for calling. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right, man. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
Those things are pretty involved.
Yeah, they are. It's a crazy little package, and he spent a lot of time and a lot of his career figuring it out. He's a wealth of knowledge with those things. He's actually figured some stuff out for us too.
Really?
Yeah, we've hired him to not hired him, but collaborated with him. And we've done some.
If they're making 1,000 horsepower to the rear wheel, that's a lot of power.
Yep. Yeah, it's over 1,200.
That's 1,200 of the motor.
See, that's why I had that question about the air oil separator, because like to me, an air oil separator goes in the dry sump pump.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are these things dry sump or is it just for blow by? But I know you've said it to me before, because you're like, you don't understand, small diameter piston, little ring, lots of boost, things will unseat.
Small crankcase.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. Very small volume inside the crankcase.
So if stuff does get by, there's nowhere for it to go.
We got a phone call. You want to take this guy real quick?
Yeah. How about it?
Hey buddy, you're on the air.
Hello.
Yeah. Gotcha. What's up?
Hi. I just want to say hello to my brother Tom.
What's up, bro?
What's happening?
Oh, we're doing our show, having a little fun. What's happening with you?
Nothing. I was wondering about how much you guys know about an internal combustion engine.
Oh, man. I guess together we know a little bit, I would say.
I'm learning.
Yeah, Mike's learning.
I listened to the other guy. It's pretty cool. I don't know what God's name you're talking about, but it sounded good to me.
Oh, well, good. Well, we're glad to hear that for sure.
How does this work? When I call up, there's something lights up on a board, because I was able to hear everything.
Yeah, we've got like a real studio deal here. It's the right thing. We've got. Yeah, so we see like we'll see how many calls are on. Will people be lined up, and when you call in, because we don't have the luxury of a call screener yet.
We had one, but he's in here now.
We had one, but now he's in front of a microphone. So
You could have swapped,
Yeah, and so what happens is we see that there's calls in queue, and then we can just go down the line and pick up the caller. That's how it works.
All right. So unfortunately, there's other people listening to this idiot on the phone right now.
Yes, you are going out over everything. That's for sure.
All right. I won't keep you any longer. So give me a buzz one day.
All right, brother. I will.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
See.
You guys didn't introduce him, say his name or anything.
That's my brother.
I'm saying, but what's his name? We'd like to know as listeners.
Oh, I'm sorry. His name's
Tom's brother.
Yeah, it's my brother. Yeah, it's my brother Mick, my older brother.
Okay.
I didn't even know he was listening.
I was
old
gonna
is
say, yeah.
He is 61. Just turned 61. His birthday's on 9/11.
See it. Oof, boy.
Yeah. So is my wife.
I keep forgetting how old we're getting.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be 27 soon.
Yeah, you will. You will.
Like I looked at, they were talking about the water on Mars thing. So I looked at it and I said, they're talking about going to Mars in 2030. I'm like, am I going to be around? I'm like, I've started to. I'm like, yeah, I think I got that long left in me. I
Did
hope.
you run the numbers?
I ran the numbers
Attaboy.
and it blew my hair back when I got done.
Nice.
So yeah, that was a pretty informative Subaru deal.
Yeah, we obviously, we could have had a million more questions for him.
I had millions of them.
I know, but we had to. We had other stuff to talk about. What stuff was that?
I don't think we had much more to talk
That's right. We didn't.
Did you guys see the golf cart with the V8 motor? You
Yeah.
guys see that?
I didn't see that.
That was on Facebook.
Oh man,
Uh,
man, oh, man.
Didn't do much. The guy just spun him in the parking lot.
That's
By the
like-
way, sorry, no, we'll get to that, back to that in 1 second. But we go back to my brother. I don't know if he's still listening, but we got to look at his Facebook feed one day
Okay.
because you can't imagine the shit he says on Facebook about politics.
Oh, really?
Out of control. Like totally out of control, crazy, funny shit. He's got no filter at all. He's
No filter.
He's actually worse than you.
I'm pretty good.
I mean, I don't mean speaking. I mean,
Okay.
Is he for Trump
Writing.
or against Trump? That's all I want to know.
I think he likes Trump. Everybody does, man. You're the only one that doesn't.
You know, if Trump becomes president, the car
They're gonna
guys
bring
are
back
going to
slavery.
look crazy at him, and we don't even have a first lady if he comes in. He'll be by himself.
Is he not married?
Yeah, he's married. He's married to that because he got rid of the one bitch.
She's 14.
And he got rid of the
16.
one.
She's 16,
What?
17.
Come on.
She's hot. She'll be the hottest first lady ever.
Yeah, the daughter's all right. The daughters. You see, now if he's listening to this, now he's not going to come on. And
Does
we
he have
were
a
working
car?
on scheduling him
Does
for
he
next
have
week.
a car to go with the hairpiece?
He's got fucking
got a car?
planes and
I'm
helicopters.
just saying.
He's-
What kind of hot rod
I got
does that fool
all right.
have?
I'm going to take
That's what
your
we want.
side at this point because I got the feeling I have never seen Donald Trump even drive.
He might not know how to drive.
He might not know how. He might just get out of a car. Now that
You're
does.
a billionaire.
got
You got a
to know.
freaking chauffeur.
He has
You
to know
know.
how to drive.
Listen, any of us in this room, if we were billionaires, we'd be driving every fucking thing we could
Coolest
buy.
shit ever.
Absolutely.
Would we?
I would.
I would.
You wouldn't be chauffeured around
No. Hell no.
Well, maybe once in a while.
once in a while?
Well, if I go to New York or something like that, chauffeur, because I ain't dealing with that traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, for day to day,
No,
wherever
not
you're
day to
going,
day.
like if
No.
you're going to go to Sonic and get a Diet Coke, I'm taking a fucking Veyron.
Dude,
I'm
yeah,
not even thinking
exactly.
about it.
Buy yourself a Sonic already.
You're gonna
It's,
take $1 million car all the way to Sonic.
Sonic.
He
just
would.
to get the diet
But
soda.
he would.
I just have to research their cup holder options and make sure that it's okay.
Yeah, he would order a Veyron with a custom Route
It
44
has to
cup
be a
holder.
dual. Yeah.
you get one of those clips that goes in the window frame on the side.
Yeah.
Well, nothing beats John Travolta's living room where he docks his plane right at the living room.
That's where, isn't that
Yeah, where the half mile
where
race
the half
was.
mile
Yeah,
race
I was
was?
at.
Well, that nothing beats that.
I walked down, me and my son and my nephew walked down to his house. He had a 707 and his Gulfstream, parked in his front yard, like you're saying.
Right.
And we got within like 100 feet and then the cops rolled up.
No.
Like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're at the race over there. We just figured we walk over here. He goes, you can't just walk over here. Like, sorry.
Wow.
Figure you're going to ding dong ditch or something.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. I was going to get my kid and my nephew arrested. Like, but the cop was cool. It was all right.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll get some links up for JJ and
Yeah.
on the page and everything.
Yeah, actually, we'll advertise it on Naziok and some of the other Subaru pages. That's going to be your job.
What?
Tad.
You're the
Slash
Subaru maven.
I am? I haven't driven one in years.
Yeah, but it's like it's all you do. You know all about this, and you talk about Junior constantly, and I'm sure
Junior's
Junior will
different.
come on at
I
some
want to
point.
see one with an LS1 in it with nitrous.
They're out there. They're
See, but
failures,
that kind of takes away from the
Yeah.
whole thing. I understand what these guys are trying to do, and I mean, look, it is. They're not light, are they?
How many cylinders?
No.
They're 4-cylinder.
4 cylinders with
3250.
Yeah, but do you understand? They're a
34.
horizontally opposed motor, like
Right.
a Volkswagen.
turbos. Right.
So for these things to make 1,000 horsepower,
That's a big challenge.
yeah, and like the thing that I just remembered from Tad's was like the driveline stuff. Like
Yep.
that was a problem to make it stay together.
Not if you have the STI. When I swapped my Forester, I bought a wrecked STI.
Mm-hmm.
And there are guys that go well in the high nines, without changing anything.
with a regular stick trans.
Stick trans, yeah. Put a good clutch in it, and you're done. Hey, since this is kind of the Subaru show, I need to shout out to one guy in case he listens. Well, whether he listens or not.
Subi show.
My original test bed, this Jeff Chang from California, he ran this past weekend, and he's got a streetable car. It's a silver 05 STI. He went 930 at 152 miles an hour, or something like that.
And let me ask, just so Crunch, we could tweak his interest a little bit here.
Go ahead.
How do these things look? Do they look like your car?
Yeah, it looks
like
stock.
just sitting there.
Looks
Yeah. Yep.
The front
Listen,
mount.
But well,
do you imagine how much fucking up would go on down in Newark if you had this a few years ago?
I walked up on one
Yeah.
with tinted windows, and he actually opened the door. These things are light. They're gutted out.
No, Jeff's isn't. 3250.
3250 for that little car?
Yeah.
They're not. I was
They're
going to
not
say that's why.
as heavy as a Camaro, 68 Camaro.
Well, they're as big as a Camaro too. They're not that small.
They're 4-door.
But listen, I got to continue on Jeff because this guy, he does all his work himself. He hones blocks in his garage. He does his own porting. He puts his own shit together. He sends oil out for testing. He literally built every part of this car, and it's pretty impressive what he's done and how fast he's gone. So just a shout out to him. He's a hardworking, very cool guy.
How many of these people that we're talking about here are going to be at the Subaru Englishtown thing?
Well, Jeff went because he's from California.
Yeah, it's a.
But the other three will.
Okay,
I'm sure. We got to go.
We got to go somewhere because we talked about the Somerville, the Friday night car show, and I think I asked Tad, did you even go this weekend or no?
Nah.
Well, we were going to go to that street race, and it got canceled.
Yeah.
And so we tried.
Still like to keep on top of that one too, if there's something's gonna go down with
we
that.
still got to get a T-shirt and a giveaway too.
This is the official Subi show.
I guess that's this one is.
It's called Evo versus WRX,
Yes.
but more Subarus show up.
This one would be the Subi
And
cast.
a couple
This is the
GTRs
Subi.
show up too. So
Is this number 33?
This is 33.
33, the Subi show.
Yeah, wonderful.
That's right. 4-cylinder.
My God.
Now
1,000
there's
horsepower to the rear wheels.
We've got some people that listen
All wheels.
online, and the guy Joe, who's been listening forever, he wanted to check out what went down in Georgia. There was apparently an accident. Guy's name is Lyle Barnett. I don't know the guy. I don't know much about it. There's apparently a video which we really can't listen to on the show because it's not going to come across. But apparently the guy, was involved in a crash, and he's in the Augusta burn unit. So, definitely.
I'm going to send prayers out, but
Yeah.
that kind of like a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, well, look, it's kind of nice. Like Joe listens and he says he wants to send a shout out. So I guess, it might be people he knows or he just
Is he a Subi guy?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
No, probably not.
He just sent it, and I didn't want to leave him hanging because it's nice that we have listeners that are bringing stuff up. So
Yeah.
might want to look at the accident at some point and
Yeah.
see what happened. Maybe we'll talk about it next week.
Yep. Hey, I want to also talk about Florida 2K's coming up. It's it's kind of an import meet in Florida. I think this is the third one where pretty much the fastest cars from the south are going to be there. There was a handful of, low 8-second GTRs there last year, and all the fast supers from Real Street will be there. One of my guys just texted me to mention FL2K. I'm going next Tuesday. I'll be down there all week. So
When is it?
it is the 9th and 10th of October. So check it out if you can. Yeah. And shouldn't they like us on Facebook too?
yes, I should like us on Facebook.
Get on
They
that,
never
Tad.
do.
Come on.
But,
Power and Speed podcast.
Are we getting a shirt? Are we going to do a T-shirt?
Look, I'm
know.
I'm not.
I always
We
look
have
at
a
him when
logo.
I do
now,
that.
Lord knows, far be it for me to be a dick.
Far be it from
Never.
me.
Never.
True.
But I kind of have my hands full here with
Yeah, you
enough
do.
stuff. Can one of you clowns either listening or the
I thought-
clowns internally
Now we have
come up?
Now we have 26-inch shoes and red lipstick. Now
I thought
They call us
Tad was
clowns.
supposed to do that. Well,
Tad.
isn't he the artistic guy?
Don't you have a clown picture?
No, I'm
for this?
autistic. There's a difference.
Oh, that was it.
Somebody come up with some kind of logo or something from us so we can get started.
Did you
on
guys see that helmet with the turbo on?
Yeah, we did.
That guy does some nice artwork.
We could steal that one.
this. Maybe we should talk to him.
We should talk to him.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. 908-751-0211 is the phone number. And like us on Facebook, like us on iTunes. And we'll see you all next week.
Later.
Yep.